Hello and welcome to another edition of Capper Comparison Picks. It's where usually I take picks from sports handicappers and writers and put them on the side of which team they choose to win. But unfortunately, due to the lack of sports, there's a lack of handicapping picks. So I'm going second time. I'm going to just make my own picks based on information I found on the internet. Tonight, we are doing Nicaraguan Premier League Soccer. It's match day 11 of 18 in the Clausura tournament. Now, if people that are unfamiliar, there's two different tournaments for Nicaraguan soccer and other soccer leagues in South America. There's the first one is called the Apertura, and that happened in the end of 2019. And then the Clausura, we're at 11 of 18 matches. So what happens, they have 18 matches for the Apertura League, or tournament. There's a champion. That happened to be Real Esteli was the champion of the Apertura League. But they didn't have the best record. Best record was Walter Ferretti. But they have the tournament at the end of the season, and Real Esteli won. Now we're into the Clausura tournament, and this is the second half of the season, but the first part of the year. Okay, so now you know a little bit about that. There's going to be a lot of information in this show. Okay. On Sunday, I did a Scratch That Gambling It show, and I had two Nicaraguan Premier League games, and I had one Australian soccer game. Well, unfortunately, I lost them all. I'll go through them quick. We had Las Sabanas playing against Chinandega, and that ended up being a 1-1 draw. I chose Chinandega to win, so I lost that. Now, then there was Managua against Juventus Managua. Now, I chose a draw because Juventus Managua has a history of draws, but Managua won 4-2. That was kind of, they were expected to. Finally, the Australian game, I had the Newcastle Jets. I had Melbourne City to beat Newcastle Jets, but Newcastle Jets upset them, and they won 2-1. So I lost all three games on Sunday. But today's a new day. Let's mark this board up with some information and get on with making our picks. Okay. So again, we have Juventus Managua, and they're going against Walter Ferretti. If you looked at my last show with Walter Ferretti, I explained how it's named after a Sandinista police officer who passed away. So that being said, Walter Ferretti is ranked number 4 in the league right now in the Clausura tournament. And Juventus Managua is ranked number 7. They have a 2-4-4 overall record. That's 2 wins, 4 losses, or 4 draws, 4 losses. Walter Ferretti, 4 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. In the last 5 games, Juventus Managua's 1 win, 3 draws, 1 loss. Excuse you. That's probably why I chose them to get a draw last time, but it didn't happen. Walter Ferretti in the last 5 are 3 wins, 0 draws, and 2 losses. Now, Juventus Managua, their last game was a loss to Managua, who is, I think they're ranked number 2. And Walter Ferretti, their last game was a loss to Jalapa. I picked that wrong too. That was the week before, I believe. And they lost 2-0 to Jalapa, and I already mentioned the loss 4-2 to Managua for Juventus Managua. Okay, now the last 3 meetings between these guys went like this. In August 3rd, Walter Freddy won 0-2. And then October 16th, it was a 1-1 draw. And finally, the most recent game, February 1st, Walter Freddy beat him 4-1. Okay. Now, I'm just going to mention, I did this in past shows, I'm just going to mention the two, not necessarily the best players, but the two leading scorers, because the best player could be the goalie, and he doesn't score. So I'm going to put the two leading scorers for each team. These two are the same as if you watched my last episode. It's the same people. Their stats are a little different, though. It went up a little bit. So we got Robinson Luis da Silva. He's the Brazilian guy. R. Luis da Silva. And in 15 appearances, he has 7 goals. And then we have Ulysses, I mentioned before in the last episode, Pavon, or Pavone. I'm not sure how you say it, but I butcher names. Not as bad as Jonathan Ricketts picks, but in 20 appearances, he has 6 goals. Okay? That's Juventus Managua's, I think, their 2 best players. For Walter Freddy, we have young boy, Deshaun Forbes. And he is, in 21 appearances, he has 9 goals. And these are all, so far, all attackers. And finally, we have another attacker, Leandro Figueroa. Just like the forward from St. John's, LJ Figueroa. I don't think they're related, but Leandro Figueroa has, in 24 appearances, he has 7 goals. Okay. Now, Juventus Managua is actually favored in this because they're both getting plus numbers. Plus 115 for Juventus Managua, plus 171 for Walter Freddy. And Walter Freddy's got a better record in the past, and they have a better standing. Their top players have more scores. So I'm going with Walter Freddy on this first match. This is at 8 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Okay? Moving on, we have Deportiva Ocotal going against Real Esteli. Now, Real Esteli is the champion of the Apertura tournament, and they are right now presently number 3 in the record ranking of 10 teams right now. Ocotal are 2-3-5 on the season. Well, on the Clausura season. 2-1-2 in the last 5 games. They are a heavy underdog at plus 285, and they're ranked number 8 of 10. Real Esteli, 6-2-2, 3-1-1 in the last 5 games, and they're ranked number 3. Okay, the odds for the draw are plus 240. The over/under is 2.5 on all 3 of these games. I only did 3 games, but there's actually 5 taking place tonight. But I'll go through the last 2 very quickly before I end the show. So, now these guys, this Deportiva Ocotal, their last game was a loss to Durangen. Durangen is number 1 in the rankings right now, and they lost 2-0 to them. Real Esteli, their last game was a win over Real Madrid's, and they won 4-0. So, yeah. Now, the last 3 beatings between the 2 teams, okay, chronologically, in August 28th, it was a draw, 0-0. Then they played again in October 17th, and Real Real Esteli won 2-0. And most recently, they played February 1st, and Real Esteli stomped them 5-0. Okay? Now, the best players, or, you know, the highest scorers on the team. For Ocotal, we have a defender. His name is Irvin Aguirre. Aguirre. And he's a defender, too. He's not an attacker. And he's the leading scorer on their team. In 23 appearances, he has 5 goals. And then we have an attacker from Colombia. His name is Diego Arismendi. Now, Arismendi is, in 17 appearances, he has 4 goals. Now, that is the best current player stats I could find. Okay, now Real Esteli, they have a pretty loaded team. But I'm going to put their top 3. Top 2 with the stats, and then I'll mention the third guy. Okay, first we have a defender. Again, his name is Brandon Ayurtis.
That's my brother's name.
Yeah, Brandon Ayurtis. He's a defender. In 22 appearances, he has 8 goals. Then we have an attacker, a forward. His name is Vinicius Martins de Souza. He's a Brazilian. So, Vinicius de Souza is in 18 appearances. He has 5 goals. Respectable. Now, finally, the last guy, his stats aren't that great, but his name is Juan Barrera. Now, let me tell you about Juan Barrera. If you search who is the best Nicaraguan soccer player, Juan Barrera comes up. He happens to also be the Nicaraguan national team captain. That says something. But his stats, in 12 appearances, he only has 2 goals. But, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean he could be a great defensive player. I don't know. But anyway, Juan Barrera, I had to mention him because he's the national, you know, because he's supposed to be the best player in the whole league. Well, not really. Managua has a stacked team too. But anyway, we have Real Esteli is the favorite. They're at -154, and they're gonna. I got them. They're gonna blow these guys away again. So you might be able to take them on the spread, which I think is like a goal and a half. But I'm just going to take them money line. I'm going to probably parlay it with... I'm going to parlay all 3 of these games. And like I said, there's 2 other games I'm going to mention. Oh, another note. John from Ricketts Chicks is still doing handicapping. He also took Real Esteli. In his little YouTube video on this game, you notice that Ocotal, Deportiva Ocotal, their field is dirt. There's no grass on it. He pointed that out. Real Esteli, you look at their fields, flourished green grass. You can find that out in the research. But I don't think, he said it's gonna, like he believes a dirt field is gonna be a faster game, but whatever, it's soccer. So I don't think it's going to play any difference, the field. But hey, maybe some people think differently. Whatever. So there's that game. That's at 9 o'clock. And finally, the last game of the night, 9:30 game, we have Real Madrid against Jalapa, Municipal Jalapa. I've mentioned them before. Real Madrid is 2-1-7 on the season, 0-1-4 in the last 5, meaning they haven't won a game in the last 5. They're number 9 of 10 in the league rankings. They're plus 120, which is odd because Jalapa has a better record at 4-3-3 overall, 2-2-1 in the last 5, and they're plus 170. And they're ranked number 5. So I don't get that. Maybe it's because I'm assuming Real Madrid must be playing at home. Same with this Juventus Managua. I think the first team, because it said it didn't say at, like I'm used to American sports where it would say like Jalapa at Real Madrid. It just says versus. So I'm assuming these guys are home, and that's why they're favored to win. But let's get on to other information. 2.5, like I said. The draw plus 198 if you choose the draw. Over is at plus 106. The unders at minus 126. Okay. Real Madrid, their last game was a loss to Real Esteli, and Real Esteli beat Real Madrid 4-0. Jalapa's last match was a win over Walter Ferretti as an upset win, and they won 2-0. Okay. Now between the two teams, their last 3 meetings. We got two meetings ended the tie. In August 3rd, there was a 1-1 tie, and then October 30th, there was a 1-1 tie. So there's 2 ties between these teams, and most recently it was on February 2nd, Jalapa had a 1-0 victory over Real Madrid. Now, let's talk about their best players. Real Madrid, their best player is an attacker. His name is Ulysses Rayo. And in 26 appearances, he has 11 goals. That's a pretty good ratio. Their second, now this is how weak the team is. I looked through, the second highest scorer is a defender. His name is Horace because the R's are silent in South America usually. Horace Espinoza, and he, in 24, he's got 2 goals. So, not the greatest team, number 9, and they're all coming off a loss, haven't won the last 5 games. Let's talk about Jalapa's players. We have an attacker, Luis Galeano, and he is 25 appearances. He has 7 goals. And finally, another Brazilian, Gabriel. He's a defender, Gabriel Coelho. Well, he goes just by Gabriel, like a one name guy. Some athletes do that, like Cristiano, who plays for Managua, also from Brazil. But anyway, Gabriel is in 9 appearances. He has 3 goals. So they're not a great team either. Like as when it comes to like superstars, if you look at the players, that Ulysses Rayo has more goals than their top player. But I mean, it's a team. It's not just a player. You got to consider. So all that being said, I'm going with the plus 170 for Municipal Jalapa. I went against them last time and they upset and beat Walter Ferretti, so this time I'm going to ride with them. So there you have it. I'm going to recap quickly. The 8 o'clock game, I have the Walter Ferretti, Sandinista Police, beating Juventus Managua. And this is an upset, according to the numbers, all right? Then I got the favorite, Real Esteli, beating Deportivo Ocotá. And finally, the 9:30 game, I have Municipal Jalapa beating Real Madrid. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a unit on each of these games individually. Then I'm going to parlay it for another half a unit or a unit, depending how I feel. Now, the last 2 games, I'm going to just mention quickly because, what time is it? Yeah, well, one of them already started, but it's a given anyway. It was the, bear with me for 1 second. Lost my paperwork, but Managua was playing. Here we go. Managua's playing Chinandega at 5. Managua's going to crush them. But it's too late to put your bet in anyway because it's after 5. And also Ricketts picks, he also took Managua in that game. And what other game didn't I put up here? Oh, Las Sabanas is playing number 1 ranked Durajan, I don't know how you say it, butchering it. But that game, Durajan, they're the favorite and they are going to win. And that is at 6:30. So you still have time to put that bet in. And you can, like I said, put a unit individual to win on Durajan, I really don't know how to say it, but but put a unit on them to win and then throw it in a parlay with other games. Now, as for overs and unders, you can take past scores. Like this one, 5-0, 2-0, 0-0. It's hard, you can't really pick. This one, 4-1, that's 5, 2 and 2. So you got 2 under, 1 over. It's hard to pick. This one, their last game's 2, 2, and 1. See, now this game, Real Madrid's Yalapa, everything's saying take the under. So I might parlay the under with that game, okay? And as for the other 2 games, I'm assuming the total is going to be either 2 or 2.5. That's usually blanket across all. Like you can pick 2 or 2.5. The odds are going to change, whichever one you want. But I don't know their odds on the last 2 games. So there you have it. Gather all this information, place your bet, and cash your tickets. Simple plan to make some extra money, and it'll scratch that gambling itch that you have. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks and good luck. I will see you next episode. You want to say bye?